Hi guys, welcome back. Part 3 now of our Q400 series. So this is going to be the takeoff and climb towards Amsterdam. We'll probably split it there, and then part 4 will be the descent and arrival into Amsterdam. Just a little disclaimer, we've actually recorded this on a different day and we're using current weather. We tried to make it work with the historical weather, but it's been doing strange things, so we're now using our current weather as of today, which means that the QNH and things have changed. Luckily, runway 15 we're still going with. Winds are variable at 8 knots, so we'll take runway 15. But yeah, if you've noticed, the QNH and a few other things have changed just because of the gap there. So it's yeah, welcome back from me, Jimbo.
And welcome back from me, Kittykami.
Great. So we're all set to go, just like we were before. Everything's been set up. Just going to finish with a quick look around the flight deck, make sure that we've got everything that we need. Again, there's no one in the right-hand seat, which is a bit disconcerting, but he is there. Right.
Hello.
See, I told you. Okay, so in that case, I think we're all set to go, don't you, Cammy?
Yeah, I think we're all good.
All right, mate. Well, whenever you're ready.
Jersey 1 Lima Victor, cleared takeoff runway 15, surface wind variable at 8 knots.
Clear for takeoff at runway 15, Jersey 1 Lima Victor.
Okay, so normally stick a little bit of aileron into wind. It's variable at 8 knots. I think that was the last thing that he said as well, so we'll just keep the controls more or less central. Are you happy, Cammy?
I'm happy.
Okay, I'm going to release the park brake then, and let's go. So I'm setting power now. You use the rating D10 for this.
Auto feather arms.
Very twitchy controls I've got here.
80 knots.
It's checked.
V1 rotates. V2. Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up selected.
And select nav, please.
Nav selected.
Remember, guys,
Gear
just
up
keep
lights out.
Thanks, mate. Remember, guys, keep your speed above flat protection speed. I mean, with 2 engines anyway, you want to pitch to about 15 degrees. But just keep an eye on your speed.
Acceleration altitude.
Okay, pitching down to 9 degrees. Flap 0.
Flap 0 selected.
Engage the autopilot.
Autopilot on.
Bleeds on and min.
Bleeds are on and min.
And
Bleeds white.
set climb power 900.
And power 900.
Okay, I can see the flaps are at 0, setting IS 210.
IS 210.
Right, that's us for now. So, yeah, just remember, pitch nice and smoothly on rotation, and then down to about 9 degrees when you get to acceleration. Make sure your speed's good all the way up, so you might need to adjust your speed as you climb.
Jersey 1 Lima Victor, contact London Control, frequency 132.6.
Under control on 132.6, Jersey 1 Lima Victor. London Control, Jersey 1 Lima Victor, passing altitude 5,000 feet, climbing altitude 6,000 feet.
Jersey 1 Lima Victor, roger, radar contact, climb flight level 230.
Climb flight level 230, Jersey 1 Lima Victor.
Okay, so that was 1 to go, but now we're cleared all the way up to 230. So I've got 230 set without sail there.
Yes.
Okay, and the vertical mode's engaged, set 1013.
Vertical mode's engaged.
Yeah, that's what I said, set 1013.
Yeah, 1013 set, passing flight level 56, cleared, flight level 230.
Okay guys, just something you might have noticed there while the air traffic calls were going on. Once you get to closing within 1 to go, On the line, you tend to try and reduce your rate of climb. Now we're in a speed mode here, so the only way you can do that is to actually reduce the power. So I don't know if anyone noticed there, but that's what I did. Let's quickly do the after takeoff and climb checks there before I forget, please, Cami.
Yeah, sure. After takeoff checklist. Landing gear.
Is up.
Flaps.
Are 0.
Bleeds.
They are on and min.
Climb power.
And we've got 900 set.
Okay, that's after takeoff checklist complete. Would you like the climb checklist as well?
Go ahead.
Okay, climb checklist, altimeters.
Is 1013 set and cross-checked.
Ice protection.
It's a lovely day, so we've got what's called a standard flight, just with the windshield and the pitos.
Okay, so pressurization, that's me. So we'll just check the overhead, and we do actually have cabin rate climb, and we're showing a differential pressure as well, so that indicates we are starting to pressurize. Hydrogen fuel pumps can now come to normal and off. And the autofeather can also come off as well. And that's the climb checklist complete.
Marvellous. I've just tuned Daventry now at the top, and I've also backed up with Clacton VOI. It's slightly off track, but it just gives you something to point to when you're crossing the coast. Just a little bit of local knowledge there. So we're passing 10,000, so we do our first checks here. Sorry, flight level 100. So I'm going to call out altimeters, and what Cami will do is just make sure the pressurization's working. You can lose your lights, and obviously our 250 knot restriction ends there as well. So yeah, altimeters, Cami.
Okay, so passing flight level just about 1-1 now, climbing flight level 230. Alt cell 1013 set and cross checked, and we're going to knock those lights off. And yeah, cabin.
Yeah, we can release the cabin if you like. Normally we do that in 2 stages, guys. At the lower levels we'll do a quick ding-dong using a chime button on the arc which alerts the cabin crew that they can now get out of their seats and start a service. And then later on, if it remains smooth and giving them just about enough time, we'll actually consider letting the passengers out as well. So it's a bit of a staggered approach there, but we've just sort of blended it all into one. I'm sure you might have noticed as well, we're using a bit of a dumbed down air traffic control here. So we've just got a single London control. We'll get handed over to Amsterdam, who will give us clearance for the descent. It might be a different runway to the one we've programmed in. If you remember, we've got 18 right programmed in the flight management system at the moment, but we can change that en route anyways. It's all looking good so far. How are you, Cami?
Yeah, looking good on my side.
Cool. You've not done anything stupid, have you?
I hope not.
I haven't
We're
either.
not on fire, are we?
Are we on fire? Doubt it.
Don't think so.
No, that's progress. Now, with a heavier weight, it's certainly been proven that remaining at 210 knots all the way up to your cruising altitude is not going to happen. At heavier weights, the aircraft will bleed off almost all rate of climb. So what they insist on doing from this point onwards, once we get to flight level 150, is you switch into a pitch mode, and about 5 degrees of pitch will mean that you'll keep the climb all the way up to your cruising altitude, but you'll probably end up slowing down to about 190, 180 knots at your maximum weight. So it's just something else that we'll switch over to once we pass flight level 150. So there we go. I'm just going to press IAS and it'll switch to a pitch mode, and you might be able to just adjust the wheels slightly to get yourself on a pitch of about 5 degrees. There we go, guys. As I say, the speed will bleed off a little bit, but it is a little bit risky. I mean, something that Cami brought up a while ago, you can't guarantee that there's nothing to prevent you from going all the way down to your stall speed, but it is sort of tested, I think, is the main factor when it comes to this, that they know that that's not going to happen if you remain at a pitch of 5 degrees. I think that's the main part to answer your previous concern, Cami.
Yeah.
Right, there's our turn at Daventry. So now we're just heading over to a Boto, and then we'll be joining the Papa 155 airway. all the way over to basically the end of the UK region, and then into Amsterdam.
Wonder if we'll have enough time to actually go and enjoy a nice cold beer in Amsterdam, or no, we won't. Will we? We'll have to just come straight back.
I mean, that's the regional life, isn't it? It's just get there, spin around, come back.
Airborne bus driver.
Absolutely.
Very glamorous.
Absolutely. So the region for Amsterdam actually starts at Redfer, and that happens to also be where we start our standard arrival, and then before then we'll be handed over to Amsterdam. It'll get quite boring in a bit, so what I'll probably end up doing is fast forwarding a bit for you guys. Quite does drag a little bit, doesn't it, when you're sat here watching it?
Is that about a watched pot won't boil or something?
I don't know. I mean, usually you might just grab a newspaper now or something.
Yeah. Fire up a bit of Candy Crush on your company iPad.
Obviously, sterile cockpit has a lot to do with
it's
that.
not a company procedure.
Sterile cockpit, has a lot to do with it as well. And as Cami says, company procedures dictate a lot of that, and you need to be alert at all times. For those that haven't heard of it before, a sterile cockpit is basically, it used to be below 150 and they changed it quite recently to below 100. Basically, communication must be to a minimum and only essential. And I'll call the altimeters there because we've passed the next 10,000 feet.
Okay, so we're passing at flight level 200, cleared flight level 230. Alt cell 1013 set and cross-checked, and I'll do the pressurization. We're at 555.
And remember, guys, the pressurization is obviously on any aircraft very important to note that it's working. We've got little ways of remembering it, as you heard Cami just said. 555 there. That's a way of roughly remembering what it should read at flight level 200, and it should say something like 425 at flight level 100. So it will be 4 on the diff, 2 on the alt, and 5 on your rate of climb. It's almost always 500 feet rate of climb. I have seen it a lot higher than that. I mean, if you are quite light and climbing really well, then obviously it can climb a lot quicker than that, but you want to try and manage it because you can get problems with the pressurization system if you are subjecting it to a massive climb. So we're just getting up to 1500 to go now. The usual recommendation is that you're not climbing or descending by greater than 1000 feet per minute within that one to go. So I've actually just backed it off slightly early, so we've got less than 1000 feet to go, feet per minute, just outside 1000 feet to go. As you can see, we're not doing a lot on the navigation side. The autopilot's running things and it's just following our routing. Nice and easy, the lazy way.
Whoever said being a pilot was hard.
I know. That's 1 to go.
Okay.
What you want to do here as well is just confirm you've still got outcell. Outcell is a big topic of discussion on this aircraft. It seems to be an unnecessary introduction, but it is a feature. It's predominantly for the common type rating aspect of this aircraft between all the other smaller Q series aircraft, the 3, the 2 and the 1, but it is a very annoying button to have to keep checking and cross-checking. If it's not pressed, if you don't see outcell there, it will just fly through the selected altitude. It won't capture. What a great feature.
Very clever.
I'm not sure if that's modelled on the sim. So we've got outstar.
Okay.
As you can see, we've slowed down to 180 knots there. Just doing some rudder trim. I have to do it the manual way. Out locked.
Yes.
And please can you set 850?
Certainly. Right, guarding. .850 set.
For anyone who's wondering what that call is all about, it's because it's protecting those levers from going back into the start feather. If you go back into start feather, not a very pleasant place to be. You will feather both props, and then the RPM can't be properly recovered. It ends up overspeeding. So it's very important, another little thing to cover on this aircraft, that you actually do everything you can to prevent yourself accidentally going below 850 in flight. So that's why when he says guarding, he'll stick his hand over start feather so that he can't pull the levers any further back.
Yeah, a little tip for anyone flying this aeroplane in the sim, if I may, Jimbo, is
Go.
what I usually do is I set the incremental props to either a button on the joystick or just use the Control F2, Control F3 commands, because then you can just do it little bit by little bit, and you aren't going to overdo it and accidentally drag it into the fuel off position and give yourself a little bit of an in-flight emergency.
We'll have to talk about our setups at some point, Cami, but on my joystick I've got a couple of analog trimmers, some little rotary switches, and I've tried using the prop lever for that, but unfortunately it constantly, as do most sims, it desyncs the current position with the sim, so I might move it a little bit and then it suddenly jump back to fuel off in the aircraft, which makes us both jump.
Yeah.
So we're just slowly accelerating up to, we'll just go VMO minus 10, so about 250 knots. You can cheat a little bit, and if you press the MCL button here, you'll see on the engine display, you've then got maximum climb power commanded, and I'm still in the rating D10, so it'll actually add a little bit of power, so it might even improve your acceleration rate. But once you've done that, you need to remember to go back to MCR, which is your max cruise, and then it'll change the power regime to match. These buttons are to override the propeller positions. So normally at max 1020 you've got your normal takeoff power. At 900 you've got your maximum climb power MCL, and then at 850 you've got MCR or maximum cruise power.
Yeah, we were just talking about this, weren't we? That it's the majority of the power changes or torque changes are done by the props, not by the actual turbine spinning up or spinning down.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that at the moment our NH, or the high pressure turbines, are actually running at 91.7%. I am at maximum throttle there, but they don't fluctuate a lot, and when you make power changes they're a lot quicker to respond, because usually the NH is already quite spooled up, which is quite a useful feature. Certainly a good characteristic of a turboprop when you're going into windy or gusty little airfields with short runways. You need quick power changes, and you can't always get that on the big jets.
Yeah, in that sense it's quite similar to a piston twin. If anyone's flown anything like a DA42 or a Seneca or something like that, the Dash 8 doesn't handle too differently from either of them.
There you go. So we are well and truly enveloped in the Norfolk ahead of us. Lovely part of the country. What you can do is sometimes in these moments of silence is prepare yourself for the next part. Now it's always good on the departure to get everything ready that you can. Certainly with long flights, you know, and by long I'm talking maybe, I don't know, upwards of an hour, there's a good chance that program in one runway and it changes by the time you get there, because obviously the weather is updated every 30 minutes and the wind can swing round and have passing fronts or something like that. But it's always beneficial to do the best you can to set everything up so you don't have to change a lot en route, but of course it doesn't always work out, so there's a good chance as close as far away as you can, worth getting the weather for your destination. Now Amsterdam, from when we used to do it, used to come in as we left the coastline, so maybe as we start to go feet wet we can try and get hold of the ATIS and see what runway's been used. Any sign of those coffees yet, Cammy?
Oh, it's another use for these cabin crew, aren't they? I mean, they're really good. Good old Karen.
I'm just gonna jog them a little bit.
You gonna give her a call?
Oh, you could just keep spamming it. Oh, I shouldn't have discovered that. You can't do that on the real aircraft. It does a whole ding-dong cycle before you can press it again. I mean, that's brilliant.
Do a remix of that, couldn't you?
Well, that's me in someone's bad books now.
Aaron's going to come in and tip your coffee into your lap now.
If you don't already, for me calling you out all the time.
Yeah. First officer's prerogative, isn't it?
So as you might have imagined, for us now, this is it's coming up to 2 months, over 2 months now of not having flown this aircraft, and it is nice to get back into it in the sim, but it is sad that we can't currently do this on the line, and we're all holding out and holding our fingers crossed that once this horrible time that we're currently in is over, that things start to recover in one form or other. But it's not a great time to be a pilot, is it?
No, it's a worrying time, definitely. I mean, I'm quite lucky in that I've still got my position instructing. I was able to kind of go straight back to that. But
just rub it in,
yeah.
why don't you?
Yeah, it's not the case for everybody, Jimbo.
Thanks. Right, I'm just going to put Clacton VOR up, and just
so while you do that, I'm going to wind Amsterdam into the standby as well. That would be a sensible thing to do.
Yeah, that's a good
it?
shout. Let me see what the...
Got the frequency.
Amsterdam is 125.750, mate. Just from memory, that's what we usually expect.
750 in the standby.
Right, Schiphol VOR is 1084. Let's put that in as well. So we should have a VOR needle pointing sort of off to the right, maybe 30 degrees. Clacton's just over here somewhere. And in fact, yeah, I can see VOR 1's pointing that way. I think Cammy's got his VOR 2 doing the same. So that's Clacton. Yep. It's just something that you can use now. In all honesty, on the FMS, for its navigation functions, it constantly scans and updates as you go along all DMEs and VORs. It uses a preferential system. It takes the DMEs first, just to keep itself position fixing, as well as using VORs. As well as using GPS. I've seen a couple of YouTubers actually. I don't know if you've seen this, Cammy, but some of the guys were talking about inertial reference systems on this aircraft. That is all lies. There is no inertial reference system on this aircraft, not like the 737 system or anything like that. For its positional information, it uses DMEs, VORs, NDBs, and then it reinforces that with GPS. There's no inertial reference system. You've got attitude reference systems. So obviously you can you've got AHRS, which the control panel is just above our FMSs on both sides, and that controls your directional and attitude information. But that's it. They are gyros. I don't know too much about the ins and outs of the actual modules, but that's the only sort of gyro-based reference systems we've got. We definitely do not have inertial reference systems on board a Q400.
Probably wouldn't fit.
No, I mean we'd probably lose about 20 seats.
Yeah. Well, it definitely wouldn't fit in the cockpit, would it?
Well, I mean, you could hold it for me if you like, stick it on your lap.
Yeah.
We'd only have one then, though. I'm not holding it, I've got more important things to do.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Drink coffee. Play Candy Crush.
Oh, 3 in a row. Is that how you play it? I don't know.
I don't know, mate. Genuinely. Honestly, hand on heart, never played it.
Every now and then, sometimes worth having a little glance around. Obviously, in the simulator, there's not really much to see, but in the real aircraft, there's every chance that you look around and see something unusual before it actually turns into a full-blown caution. It's also definitely worth, if you're in a multi-crew environment, if you select expand on the radios, turn the volume right up on VHF2 and then turn the squelch off, that'll just annoy him. Really, I mean, it does come through on your headphones as well. He's found out how to turn it off. Damn, he figured that one out quite quickly, to be honest with you. I'll have to find a new trick.
I swear to God.
Actually, I have found a new trick.
Yeah. The cabin bong remix. Yeah, so going back to what Jimbo was saying about just keep monitoring things. So every 20 minutes, the pilot monitoring, aka me, would just do a quick check of the pressurization, the hydraulic pressure and the levels, any icing on the airframe. Going back to those little spigot lights we were talking about on the pre-flight. So if it was nighttime, we could light those up and see if we were picking any ice up on those. And I'd also check the cockpit oxygen to make sure that we weren't bleeding any of that out, which would necessitate a descent to a lower level. And the duct and the cabin temperatures as well to make sure our cabin has not turned into Antarctica or the Sahara Desert while we've not been paying attention.
Perfect. Incidentally, I've just changed back to maximum cruise power. We're not accelerating much anymore, so I've swapped it back over. Because we're quite heavy, we're actually still in the rating D10, and it's still quite some way off the VMO -10. We're still about 10 knots slow. We'll do what we can to accelerate up to that, but yeah.
We're creeping up bit by bit.
It's creeping up, yeah. Obviously, as you get lighter, you'll have a little bit more excess power, and it might accelerate a little bit more, but it's a very slow process. We could lob a few passengers out. I don't think they'd enjoy it.
Not got Fat Terry on board, have we?
Oh, he might be slowing us down, you
He's
know.
not stowing away in the baggage compartment again, is he?
He said something about needing a weekend away. I'm pretty sure I heard that. He's not in the hold again, is he? Should we open the hold and have a look?
Pop it open, yeah.
I'm actually coming up on VMO -10 now, so I'm just going to retard the power levers a little bit.
And we're also coming up to our feet wet point, so we should be expecting to get thrown over to Amsterdam anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to scale out my zoom a little bit there so you can see Redford and Sugol. It's the start of the arrival there. It looks like this mark in here, I think, is the go-around actually, 400 feet. Yeah, that to me looks like the go-around there to Sugol, 400 feet. But normally on the real aircraft, it actually it can't do a very good job of including all the symbols. So I think it's about 10 or 15 of these waypoints is as much as it can go up to. And if you zoom right out, you just won't see the others. We can press data as well and get all the airports and VORs. You can see there's Clacton off to the right there. We've got weather. I don't want weather. Let's put terrain on. There we go. Ah, that's better. We've got terrain there, so we can now see, if I zoom a little bit, see everything around us. There's Clacton off to the right, so it should be about 90 degrees to the right now, which it is. That needle's passing us now. So very shortly what we'll do is we'll flick over to Sierra Papa Lima, which is the Schiphol VOR. And what we'll do there, guys, is we'll stop part 3 now, and we will see you in part 4 for the rest of the flight. Thank you.